All right, section 6.4 deals with solving these polynomial equations. So what we're going to be looking at is using your synthetic division or log division, and sometimes we won't even have to use that to be able to solve these and find what the values are. Okay. So the first thing is the sum and difference of cubes. Now, the sum and difference of cubes is kind of a shortcut that you could use to help find these. Now the first one is a to the third, or a cubed plus b cubed. So if you have two numbers that are cubed, you can break it down to a plus b times a squared minus a times b plus b squared. So in this case, if we look here, x cubed and 1,000 are both cubes. This is 10 cubed. And so from here, we can break it down into the two. So your a in this case would be x, and your b would be 10. And then from there, we're able to just kind of plug in and solve, plug in and solve. And so that's a way of easily breaking it apart. Okay. So again, these are just shortcuts. So now the next one is the difference of cubes. So a cubed minus b cubed is equal to a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. And so here, 8x cubed minus 1, your a value would be 2x, and your b value would be 1. Okay? And then if you cube 2x, you get 8x cubed. Okay? And so then from there, you just plug into those parts and then simplify, and you see what you get. Right. Now if we were to FOIL these, we would get back up into that one. All right. So here, what we have is that we have two perfect cubes. One, our a value here would be x, and our b value would be 2. Now with that, we can plug it in, and we can set it up using the sum of the two cubes that we saw previously up here, using this. And now from there, if we want to find the zeros, so we want to find what x is, we still have to break apart the second one. And so by breaking apart the second one, what we're going to do is that we're going to look, okay, what two numbers multiplied together give us 4, added together gets you a negative 2. And if you can't think of any, that's when you're going to use your quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we'll plug in the negative 2, so that would be a 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 4 times 1 times 4, which would be 16, all over 2. So it looks like we'll be left with 2 plus or minus the square root of a negative 12, all over 2. Negative 12 is an imaginary number. So square root of negative 12, we would take the negative out, so we'll have I root 12. 12 breaks up into 4 and 3. 4 is 2 and 2. So we're left with 2 root 3. So our answer looks like it's going to be right here. Negative 2 from here. Okay, solve that first part, this part, equal to 0. Got us a negative 2. And then the second half, what we have is that we used our quadratic formula to prove the rest of the way through. And when we simplified this, we can take out a 2 from each part, leaving us with 1 plus or minus 1i root 3. And that's our 3 answers, because the plus or minus gives us 2 different answers. All right, higher degrees. Now with higher degrees, what we're going to be doing is that we want to kind of turn it back into something that's x squared, because we don't really know any shortcuts with x to the fourth. The quartic formula is ridiculously huge, and there's no way we would remember it. So what we're going to do is that we're going to take this x4 and x squared, and we're going to say, well, x squared is going to be equal to, let's use a new variable, u. Now when it's equal to u, let's rewrite this. This would be u squared minus 2u minus 8. And you go, hey, I know how to do that. Two numbers multiplied together get you an 8, negative 8, added together get you a negative 2. That would just be u minus 4 and u plus 2. See how simple that is? Now, you might go, hey, I'm done. But the problem is that we don't want to solve for u, we want to solve for x. So now this x squared has to be plugged back in to the u's. So we have, our answers would be x squared minus 4 and x squared plus 2. Those would be our two solutions. Now we want to set each of those equal to 0. X squared minus 4 is equal to 0, getting us x squared is equal to 4, which means x is equal to plus or minus 4, or plus or minus 2, my bad, because you take the square root of both sides. So there's one solution, and then the other solution we'll do in purple. We've got x squared plus 2, this one here, equals 0. Move the 2 over, gets us an x squared is equal to a negative 2. Take the square root of both sides, getting us our x is equal to plus or minus I root 2. And those would be our four solutions. So as you see in this case, I used a instead of u, but it's still the same. So you would plug in a number to represent those x squareds and then solve it. Okay. This is it does take some time, and even people that have been doing this for a while forget to do this at times. So let's look at this one. Let's substitute u in for x squared. So that gives us a u squared plus 7u plus 6. Two numbers multiplied together get you a 6, added together get you a 7. Would be u plus 6 and u plus 7, or plus 1. Replace the u with x squared, getting us x squared plus 6 and x squared plus 1. So now we're going to solve. X squared plus 6 is equal to 0. X squared is equal to a negative 6, which means x is equal to plus or minus I root 6. Ta-da! There's one. And now the other one, we're going to go over here and do. It's going to be x squared plus 1 is equal to 0. Move that 1 to the other side. X squared is equal to negative 1. Take the square root of both sides, getting us x is equal to plus or minus 1, or plus or minus I. And that would be our solution. Okay. So those would be our two solutions that we have. Right. Okay, your IRAT. What you want to do for your IRAT, the first two solve, okay, factor stuff out and solve and try to solve. Okay, use that cubic, use that cube and the sum and difference of two cubes, and then the last one factor out by substituting x squared. Substitute u in for x squared on that last one. Okay, so then factor. So your answer should be x equals this, x equals that. Except for this one, all you have to, the last one, you just have to factor. Okay, so just factor it. You don't need your answers, or you don't need x equals something. You just need x squared plus this and x squared minus that.